His second question is very short and simple. Would you do it all over again?
Oh, I'd go over in a heartbeat again. Absolutely. Making this film has been probably the most extraordinary thing I've ever done in my life. Having the opportunity to spend that much time with a warfighter on the edge of the battlefield was extraordinary. I've witnessed things from men and women which have frankly just humbled me. We have, I think, the best part of my generation overseas serving us. Um, the diligence, the kindness, the hard work they've put into this is extraordinary. And one of the things I'm most proud of Brothers at War is I feel like in the quest to better understand my brothers, I embed with 4 combat units. I spend time with their brothers in arms and sisters in arms. And the portrait of the American warrior that comes to the forefront through this mosaic of people, I think really typifies who we have serving us. And that is something which I think all Americans would benefit from seeing.
All right. And question from Tanker Babe, a reader, commenter, and blogger in her own right, who has actually 3 questions that I'm going to try to paraphrase. But why did some theaters choose to show the movie and others didn't? Why so few? Was there a threshold that had to be met in order for the movie to go into a broader release?
Well, that's a great question. Even when it came time to release the film in movie theaters, we had to raise money independently. And David Scantling, Gary Sinise being one of the executive producers, David Scantling being the other. David Scantling and my original investors were the ones that came up with the money to release the film on movie theaters so audiences could see it as it was intended. We had to pick and choose movie theaters to open it in. We wanted to bring the film to the military and their families first. I believe that we made the right decision. We were the #1 film in Fayetteville the weekend we opened. In fact, we had such a great audience turnout in those 5 original cities that we're able to bring Brothers at War to 15 more cities. You can go to brothersatwarmovie.com, find out if the movie is playing in your city. If it is, I encourage everyone to come to the theaters en masse this weekend on the 27th. We are opening in 7 cities this weekend. We have another 9 cities we're opening in a week from Friday on the 3rd of April. If we are able to have an audience turnout of about 1,000 people or more in each of these cities where the film is playing this weekend and next, that will demonstrate to Hollywood, to New York, to the world that this is something that people really, really want to see. And if that is done, we will be able to get the financing to take the film out wider. Now, if you have people in your audience who are impatient, like I was, and want to expedite the process, and what's wonderful is we're seeing people do this now. There is a process by which you can bring Brothers at War to your home theater, and that is by pre-buying 1,000 tickets. And you can find out how to do that by going to brothersatwarmovie.com. You click on Showtimes, and you download the Task Force Commander packet. And there are communities across the country which are creating these task forces to bring Brothers at War to their city. Some of them are individuals. There's a couple hospitals. There's some veterans groups. Just some patriotic individuals that are rallying all the people in their city to bring Brothers at War to their city. This is of extraordinary benefit to Gary Sinise and David Scantling and Norman Powell and myself, who have done everything we possibly can to bring this film out as wide as possible. And now we really, it's really upon the American people how far and wide the Brothers at War will go.
A couple more questions. How has your family adapted to or dealt with the release and its aftermath?
Well, the release of Brothers at War has been great in some ways. In making the film, and the film coming out, it's actually brought my family back together. There was another element which maybe I wasn't aware of when I first started making the film, and that was there's a distance that had been created between myself and my two warrior brothers. They were now shared in the brothers in arms bond, and that's all fine and dandy, and that's great. But the problem that was there was that I had no clear window into what their experience had been like. The window, so to speak, was foggy. It's hard to understand what's going on overseas, so it's created this extra distance between family members and their loved ones overseas. In making the film, I have come to understand in a much deeper way what they go through. And in the course of the film, other families who have felt the same distance have seen Brothers War, and it's become a touchstone for them to reunite with their families. It's been a conversation starter, so to speak. I've had military wives watch the film and say for the first time they started to understand what their loved ones were going through overseas. Mothers, all these different family members. It's been a dialogue starter. All of a sudden, a soldier doesn't have to try and explain everything from scratch. There's images, there's stories, there's moments, there's examples, say, of working with the Iraqi army, and then they can piggyback off of what their loved one knows and fill in the details from there.
Okay. Good. Has there been any repercussions or concern with how frank everybody was in the movie, from the soldiers and Iraqis you were with to your family?
Well, there were a few people that reacted to Brothers at War. As you know, it's very much a realistic portrayal. I just tried to put the frame around the truth and let it stand as it is, and just walk away at that point,
Right.
and let the audience take what they want from it. Now, some people have sensitive ears to foul language. I don't think the language in Brothers at War is really anything worse than what you probably find on a junior high playground, depending on when you were there. But some people were sensitive about that. But I say, listen, I can't edit that out and just leave the Iraqi children waving at the soldiers as they drive by, and that little girl blowing kisses. I have to leave everything in.
Right.
And I think one of the strengths of the film is that it really captures the essence of what it's all about. The humorous moments, a little bit of the profane moments, the human moments, but also who these guys are as people. We have a great individuality in the people serving our country in the military, and I think Brothers of War really explores that and shows that. That was something that really struck me as so amazing. Was these guys were not cliches; they were actually very introspective and very thoughtful and very unique and humorous and exciting to be around. And I think the film, because its approach was just to be completely honest and bare and raw in some ways, it allowed the people in it to really let down their guard and just be who they are. And I think the majority of audiences have really, really appreciated that.
Good. Do you have any plans for a follow-up or something else to come out of this? I ask that in part because I noticed you had some of your camera crew filming things at Fayetteville and elsewhere.
Well, we had the camera crew filming things at Fayetteville, and if your audience goes to brothersthatwarmovie.com and they hit the YouTube button, they can watch audience reactions from opening weekend. It's a little minute and 40 seconds trailer that we put together. I would like to do some more with this topic and with this subject. But I tell you what, it's really going to be dependent upon the audience turning out to support Brothers at War. If the audience comes out and supports it and the film gets some legs and gets out there and gets into more communities, it will allow eventually for the people who are brave enough to risk their money to get their money back, and they've all said, listen, if we can make this work, I'm willing to do it again. And my hope is that not only that will happen, but it will be an encouragement to other filmmakers, to other people in the media, that if you tell the truth about what's happening in the war zone, if you cast the military members serving over there and their family members back home in a realistic light, just a realistic light, that there is an audience for this material, people who have a need and a desire to know, and they will come, and they will support the work. And I hope that instead of seeing 10 films which cast our warriors as villains in rare cases and victims very often to make a political point, I hope we have 10 films that just try to call it like it is and let everyone walk away from that experience and make up their own mind and have a discussion about what they've seen. So yes, I would like to do more films. I would like to do more films. I think there are a number of extraordinary things that have happened overseas in the War on Terror. There's been some extraordinary acts of valor which have yet to be covered in a motion picture, and I wouldn't mind exploring all of that, but it will really be dependent upon how much success Brothers at War meets with.